Hello and welcome back to Wayhaven Chronicles Book 2. Outside of the station. The glass doors swing shut behind me as I head back out into the warm day. Taking a deep breath, I try not to think too hard on who I'm about to be meeting as I stride towards my car. I make it 2 steps before someone crashes into my side as they rush around the corner. The two of us stumble back at the impact, my shoulders sore but not injured. Check on the other person without saying anything. No, go away. There we go. After swaying for a moment to regain my footing, I quickly glance up to check on the person who collided with me. The young woman seems fine, if a little nervous, her brown eyes going wide as she notices my badge. I'm so sorry, Detective. I didn't mean. Her flustered apology trails off as her head cocks to one side. I lean back as she leans forward, her brow furrowing deep. She draws in a long breath through her nose, and I get officially creeped out. My instincts make me take a wide step away, but she doesn't seem to notice. Her eyes flutter shut, and when they open again, they begin to narrow and widen, the once brown irises spreading like bronze ink over the whites of her eyes. The morphine continues to her ears, which lengthen and sprout a sudden cuff of bright kingfisher blue feathers around them. I stare at her, shocked. She stares at me, shocked. Then her hands fly to her ears to cover them, and the surprise in her metallic eyes turns to something I never expected. Fear. She gulps a sudden breath, eyes darting over me, then she spins around quickly and takes off at a sprint down the street until she's lost around the corner. Let out a sigh and get into my car. Ah, another one of these. No, we'll blink out of surprise and go after her in concern. It takes a moment. That's not exactly something I see every day, even now that I know about the supernatural, but I eventually blink away my surprise and dash after her. By the time I swing around the corner, she's completely disappeared. Guess I should have expected that, but I still hoped to at least check whether she was alright. My heart pounds in my chest, and I'm unsure if it's from the exertion or from what happened. She's the first supernatural I've come into contact with in 2 months. Well, at least that I know about. Suddenly glancing about the people walking on the other side of the street and those dipping into shop doors, I wonder how many of them could be supernatural. An old lady shuffles past me, dragging a bright trolley behind her. She eyes me as she continues by, a smile eventually forming on her face. She seemed normal enough, but then so had the younger woman. Just how many people in town might not be people at all, but something completely different? Hmm. It's not something I actually think much about at all. Supernaturals exist just like humans exist. Why should that change my view too much? My thought process is halted as the clock on the tower over at the square chimes out the time. Time to get going and meet with the supernaturals I know are waiting in the forest at the edge of town. If there was a track leading through this forest once, it's long gone. All that's left are some faint pale lines that might have been old tire tracks, but are now mostly just mud and roots. And those roots keep testing the suspension of my car as the tires slam into them. The dry weather's starting to harden the ground around them too. It's taken longer to get here than I'd like due to the density of trees and the somewhat old school hand drawn paper map I was given. Any sign of the town has been left far behind out here, its buildings replaced by towering, thick trunked trees, and its people by singing birds and skittering wildlife. As I do my best to navigate the winding trail, I can at least enjoy the view of the sun dappling through the canopy above and illuminating the new budding foliage in shades of gold. But I do feel partly guilty that my tires are crushing a few of the bluebells that carpet the forest floor. The perfumed scent that wafts from them stems that guilt a little. Nature is at its best out here, except for the sparkling new chain link fence I can suddenly see glinting before me. I park the car and take out the ID card the agency gave me when the details of my new position were finalized a few weeks back. It's a plain silver card with a shield emblem on the front detailed in white. Inside the shield is the outline of two moons sitting vertically next to each other. A very thin crescent moon, and above it the same moon but slightly thicker. I was told the moons represented my rank, and this card would function as my ID for the agency, as well as a sort of key card to allow me into areas I've been approved for. Turning the card over in my hand, I can see no sign of words or lettering on it. It's odd, but then that could be said about nearly everything to do with the agency. A big yellow and black sign warns about dangerous ground beyond the chain link fence, but I scan the card with the small box attached to a nearby pole and the gate swings open. Taking a deep breath, I head past the gate and carry on through the forested area by foot. It doesn't take long to find the warehouse, and it's not exactly what I was expecting. It's a crumbling wreck. Large holes make up more of the roof than tiles, the metal doors are half bashed in, and the brickwork looks mostly held together by masses of ivy and greenery. I yank out the small map I was given from my pocket and consult it. This is definitely the place. Um, you didn't realize when, everything opened with the keycard. Okay, sure. My focus returns to the doors as they creak, seemingly without a breeze or person to move them. Knock. My fist thumps heavily on the already battered metal door. The knocks echo, but that's the only noise that follows. After a moment, I grit my teeth and head inside. The interior isn't hiding anything. It's as dilapidated as the outside. Tufts of grass bristle from the cracked, muddied concrete floor, the blades scorched brown from the sunlight bursting through gaps in the roof. Half the rafters are falling down, and any left holding up the roof have rusted chains dangling from them. I'm not entirely sure what the chains might have even done except look eerie, which they're doing a fine job of at this moment. Small flourishes of graffiti line some of the brickwork, but that's about the only color in this sepia-toned place. The plentiful holes in the architecture at least let the fresh air in, removing any musty smells. My heart leaps into my throat as a sudden flurry sounds from above me. I whirl around to see pigeons dart from the roof and head through the broken tiles. My eyes then drop again, landing on a figure moving towards me. My mother steps out of the shadows at the end of the open warehouse, her heels clicking over the remnants of the floor. Are you all right? She asks, her steps speeding as her worry visibly increases. Hmm, I would be if pigeons would stop scaring me half to death. Rebecca smiles, her focus remaining on me as she draws closer. After what happened with Murphy, it was nice to leave things on a good note with my mother. We were already close before, but having all of what she was hiding revealed has really brought us even closer. It doesn't seem there's anything that could cause tension between us now. You jinxed it. Having had these past couple of months to think over it even further, I greet her with, hmm, a smile, sure. I'm quick to greet her with a smile, something she is very pleased about. The hands she had clasped in front of her drop, her shoulders also relaxing with the motion. She stops beside me, her confident, tidy appearance out of place among the dirt and grime of the broken warehouse. She's even wearing 4-inch heels and a knee-length tailored dress. With immaculately manicured nails, she brushes back a lock of light brown hair, then takes a breath. Ah, it's been a while, Jules. I give a nod. And I've oh, and us. And I've barely heard from you. Her lips purse. I'm sorry. It has been more difficult to get away from work or to call for social reasons as much as I wish to. Lingering effects of what happened with Murphy? I ask. I fear there are many lingering issues with what happened. She clears her throat. But yes, I had been assigned to desk duty until now. It was my punishment for giving Unit Bravo the pure DMB. Even though it was the only thing that brought Murphy down? I ask in genuine curiosity. It is still illegal, and even though my position and years of loyal service allowed for a much lighter punishment, I am not above the rules, she replies. They are in place for a reason. Then why did you do it? To save your life. She says it without hesitation and with a sudden weight of emotion behind the words. And it's something I would do again if needed. It's not hard to believe what she's saying, knowing her all these years and how much she cares, even if she wasn't always able to show it. She's resolute as she speaks, her brown eyes unwavering as she looks at me. Mm, hmm. uh, sure. Thanks, Mom. She looks away for a moment, a small nod of her head the only sign she heard me. Fools will never reply when it comes to you. Her words flurry from her mouth, and she covers it by saying, well, we shouldn't keep Bravo waiting. This way. Rebecca leads me across the warehouse floor. My feet struggle to find spaces between the jutting plants and concrete, but her heels almost seem to glide without issue. We head through another scratched up metal door into what looks like an old closet. The door swings closed behind us with a heavy thud, and the light flickers on as soon as the door shuts. As Rebecca whips out her own ID card, I just manage to see the amount of moons on hers. 6. Apparently, being a liaison really is low in the ranks. She then swipes it against the wood panel on the opposite wall. I do my best to memorize where it is for when I need it in the future. We both shift back as a low rumbling sound like the deep purr of a cat. What? The wall slides aside, revealing what looks like a well decorated foyer beyond. With raised brows, I step through after Rebecca, so impressed that I don't even notice the wall sealing up again behind us. Welcome to the warehouse, she says without any flourish. Inside the warehouse. From what I can tell, the warehouse is a very understated way of saying underground mansion. The foyer has a low ceiling but spreads out in a wide circle with doors, corridors, and staircases leading off like some kind of weird domestic maze. After my initial surprise, I suddenly realize why this place feels familiar. It's decorated in the same warm creams, browns, and burgundy as the common room of the facility. Impressive, I say, letting my gaze continue about the room in appraising inspection. Let me show you the rest. Rebecca once more leads the way. The tour Rebecca proceeds to give me is short and to the point. Rooms seem to branch off everywhere in this place, staircases leading down and corridors snaking out past my view. It's mostly built underground like agency facilities, Rebecca explains. Some of the more social rooms are above, but the important locations are down here. It helps to keep everything hidden behind the outer facade of the warehouse. She strides past doorways, pointing out a training room, a library, a study, and even a weapons room. Though both the warehouse and the facility where I'd recovered are located underground, the decorations here create an atmosphere that's far different from the bleak feel of the facility. Warm cream paints the walls as it had in the foyer, with wood paneling adding a sense of safe comfort to the hallways. Even without any windows, there are enough glass shaded lamps to give a brightness to everything as we walk. It's homey but practical, and I suddenly start to wonder just which of Unit Bravo got to decide on the decor. Nat. Is there anywhere you wish to see more closely? Rebecca asks suddenly. We don't have much time for a thorough inspection, but a quick glance should be fine. Um, let's have a look at the tech lab. Rebecca gives a short nod and gestures down the hallway. It's just in here. She twists the elegant gold handle of a mahogany wood door, which she then lets swing open. Beyond is a strange juxtaposition of antique style furniture and clean, simple technology. Surprisingly, it works well. The wood paneling helps add a cozier feeling to what might look like an out of place technology store otherwise. That's quite the range of equipment, I say, stepping into the room to appraise it further. The agency likes to ensure their agents have everything that can be provided on hand. Rebecca replies, following behind me. Obviously, they couldn't get every piece of technology or equipment, and some things may still need to be done back at the facility, but this should suffice for a good range of investigations or issues. I drag my fingers over the thin, flat monitor of a nearby computer. I'm sure it will all get good use. And of course, you're welcome to use it should you need, she says, spreading a hand to gesture over the room. Then she pauses. You are part of the team now. There's a definite tinge of regret hanging on those words. When she had first told me of the offer to work with the agency, she had been almost hesitant about it then, too. It's strange considering she is so involved with them and seems to have dedicated most of her life to the organization, but it's also completely understandable, so we'll ignore the comment. Brushing away the comments, I wait for her to lead the way. She seems to understand and takes off in the direction of another hallway. We'll be late to meet the team. Come on. They're likely already wondering where we are. I give an understanding nod and make to follow her once more. We make our way back up the small set of stairs leading to the foyer. I expect you'll become well accustomed to this place soon enough, Rebecca says as we go. You'll meet with Unit Bravo here most of the time to ensure they remain as secret as possible. Town may be aware of their presence, but it's better for everyone if their location remains unknown. The easier they can move about unseen, the better. Will they stay inside most of the time? I ask, stepping out of the narrow stairway and back into the well-lit open foyer. You mean because they're vampires? She turns to me. They've been assigned to your protection, but also the town's. Unless needed for a special mission, their time will mostly consist of frequent patrolling around Wayhaven and dealing with any issues or threats. We're nodding. I give a simple nod to her words, doing my best to take it all in. Unit Bravo should be waiting. She swings around and heads off once again down yet another corridor. A sudden uncertainty tugs at me as we move down the corridor. 2 months pass by in a flash, but now it feels like it's been years since I've seen them. I rub a hand up and down my arm as we draw closer to where the team must be. I wonder if they're excited to see me again. The words flutter like an annoying insect inside my brain, and when it finally lands, it stings right on the thought I had been doing my best to keep from thinking all day. The suddenly nerve-wracking and hard-to-shake thought of whether she wants to see me again. In the warehouse living room. It must be nearly here now, Farah moans, yanking down her t-shirt to flatten out the creases a little. Suddenly every wrinkle in the fabric is an insult, and Farah touches as she smooths a hand over them. The smoke from Morgan's cigarette breaks as she chuckles. Nervous? Me? No, Farah blurts out. Just eager. A wink follows the words. Yeah, Morgan scoffs in reply. We know that. You've barely stopped talking about the detective coming back since we found out. What can I say? Farah spreads her hands out as she sprawls over a padded armchair. We had a moment, the detective and I. Morgan sighs. Well, keep your moments quieter. You've been driving us crazy talking about them. Nat clicks her tongue, jabbing an elbow into Morgan's side and almost making her topple off the side table she's balanced on. I'm certain we're all eager to see Jules again. There's a sarcastic grunt from Morgan and a punctuating silence from Ava in response. A thud of footsteps sounds at the edges of Farah's hearing. Anything else Nat might have to say is suddenly far less interesting than the realization that Jules is nearly here. All of the vampires turn to look at the door, apparently hearing the same thing. Try not to be too eager, please, Farah, Nat whispers. Farah grins. Oh, come on. How can I not want to give our detective the warmest welcome I can? I know a way you can give them the warmest welcome. You just have to. Morgan's comment is cut short by Nat holding up a finger in warning. Do not finish that sentence. Morgan shrugs, though a hint of a smirk plays on her lips. Farah ignores them all, now completely focused on the oncoming footsteps and on trying to spread her limbs and body over the chair as seductively as possible. The door handle twists open, and Farah's sudden attempts to be attractive are forgotten as her body erupts into a cascade of nervous excitement at seeing Jules again. Outside of the warehouse living room, Rebecca slows as we come to a doorway, and my nerves jolt into overdrive. She moves to one side to allow me to go first. As I step inside, I'm greeted with the attractive faces of Unit Bravo once again. Ava standing to one side by the window, Morgan with one hip balanced against a side table, Nat offering me a soft smile, but there's one that beams at me brighter than the rest. My gaze instantly shifts to Farah. The amber eyes I'd come to know so well stare back into mine, seeming to light up the room in a hue of gold. The soft, smooth curves of her face continue down to the lines of her body, even if it's half hidden behind a loose t-shirt and the usual scarf coiled around her neck. Yet as incredibly attractive as she is, I realize I'm happy to just see her again. Her face breaks into a wide smile. It's not a grin or a smirk, but a genuine, gentle smile. Hello, detective, she says, and the simple greeting has my heart skittering in my chest like it's tap dancing. She leans forward in the chair, the smile smoothing out for a moment as though in worry. Did you miss us? It's not hard to work out the real meaning behind that question. Did I miss her specifically? We'll see. I suppose. Definitely. I shrug my shoulders, pursing my lips in thought. I suppose. Bra's face drops at the dismissive response, forcing the chuckle out of me that I had been holding back. Her shoulders drop in relief. You shouldn't joke around about that. Why not? I replied, laughter still in my words. Because it's a question I've been wondering since you left, she says in seriousness until a quick smile wipes away the heavy tone. But I can't really say much on joking around now, can I? She winks. Let's start the meeting, Rebecca says. Bra groans, flopping back into the chair. Do we have to? Yes, she replies firmly with a stare. Before I find a seat, I throw a final glance at Farah. She tilts her head to one side, a brighter smile lighting her face as our gazes meet this time. And so we settle ourselves down, the group of us ready to discuss whatever my future with the team might be. I really am one of them now, a member of Unit Bravo. Next chapter.